I'm sure somewhere in the 80s, movie nerds like me were discussing who would win if Stallone's Rocky fought De Niro's Raging Bull. Of course, I don't think they were probably thinking they'd be in their late 60s when it happened. Grudge Match is the story of two former boxing rivals and what happens when they're convinced to fight in a rematch decades after their careers have ended. Sylvester Stallone and Robert De Niro play the fighters as we follow the impact it has on their family and those closest to them. You know, this is one of those movies that you go into never expecting it to work, and well, it doesn't. But it's closer than I thought. There are a couple things that I genuinely liked about Grudge Match, and one of them is named Kevin Hart. Now, if you aren't sure who he is, he's this guy. And there's a reason he's popping up in so many movies these days. He's a really funny dude. Honestly, I think he's the best thing about this. He gives an energy and life to the movie that it desperately needs, and is especially great when jabbing with the wonderful Alan Arkin. I also thought the storyline was actually pretty decent in this. The plot weaves in and out of the different stories nicely, and there's some beautiful themes here about maturity, family, and forgiveness. The problem is, for a comedy, other than Mr. Hart, it's just not that funny. And that's a real problem in a movie like this. It weighs the movie down and makes it a bit of a slog as we wait for that final bout that fulfills the promise of the premise. It makes the whole thing seem dead and uninteresting for much of the time, and you rarely feel like the payoffs are worth the investment. Plus, De Niro and Stallone, they don't really seem to have much chemistry on screen, and considering their rivalry is supposed to be the centerpiece of the film, you can see how this might be a problem. It's not as if these two aren't decent actors. In fact, some of their stuff, when they're apart, hits its mark fairly well. But when they get on screen together, it just doesn't seem to work for me. Overall, Grudge Match is the latest example of a good pitch gone wrong. Despite some fun stuff from Kevin Hart and Alan Alda, it wastes a somewhat decent story by not being able to land its punchlines. My final scorecard reads C+. Thanks for checking out this Your Movie Friend review. Stay tuned for this review's best ever challenge here in a bit. But first, I'm going to put up some stuff over here you can click on if you'd like. If you want to subscribe, please do that. You can do that by clicking the big gray subscribe button. If you want to see more reviews, I've got several this week. You can click here to see reviews of The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, 47 Ronin, Wolf of Wall Street, or the new Justin Bieber documentary. You can also click the logo right up here to go to yourmoviefriend.com, where you can search by title for new reviews. And finally, this review's best ever challenge. This is where you name the best movie ever in a particular category and also try to identify what my choice is. What is the best boxing movie ever that doesn't involve Sylvester Stallone or Robert De Niro? Mine may not be an obvious choice, but involves a con man in a series of 10 fights. Drop your own answer and a guess at mine in the comments, and the first person to guess mine gets a point. Thank you, and don't forget to subscribe.